Two exquisite introductory singles in, and now we have a third that not only expands the evolving library of recent METALITE debuts, but simultaneously also acts as a, at least in the way that I regard it, formal heralding for the recently disclosed upcoming fourth METALITE project. Automatically that excites me, and to be fair, Expedition 1, its arrival has been teased for a while now via the band's socials. It's just nice to have the unveiling. Admittedly, though, with a bit of a surprise in that, and I appreciate the appetizers, like with this song, that are being thrown my way, and the way of any METALITE fan. I'm sure anybody would agree with me on that. Especially since we're all going to have to exercise some patience, because the album is a bit stretched out in terms of its full debut, and at least of current expectancy, it is sitting at a January 19th, 2024 release date. So a couple of months to go, but I'm happy either way that we now have some disclosure that, in fact, it is coming. And we have a bit of a window into where the album might be going, which Expedition 1, on the, as I'm assuming, space theming, totally fits with the METALITE energy. I especially think of the past two albums with Biomechanicals and A Virtual World, and there's a segue that feels quite natural. And in respect to the included works, again, those singles, specifically Take My Hand, the last track we consulted together publicly on this channel, there was that direct space direction, at least in perspective. So I'm excited to take this journey of METALITE and go higher than high, as I've said. I mean, I think there's definitely been a path laid for METALITE's ambitions. I just love humoring them as a group. And bringing them on the channel, they are of recent appearance. Many of you, I'm sure, will note that. And I'm sure there's a variety of perspectives approaching this video. I know many of you are perhaps longer standing than myself, METALITE fans. And maybe some of you are approaching on a first-name basis with them. If you want a good base of knowledge set for you, Swedish electronic pop punk rock metal. That's kind of the vibe they go for. At this point, they are the sixth group in total that I've addressed on the channel from Sweden, and I really love what I'm hearing in their metal scene. It's incredible, especially on electronic emphasis. It is a mainstay presence there in musical construction, but I've loved taking the path of METALITE. In consideration of what I've spotlighted thus far, 12 tracks in total. I took the journey starting in January of this year, in fact, though I think they got the videos up later, to be honest with you, but they were recorded on January 5th. The first 10, anyway. But as I said, it was my ambition to get a better perspective on them, because I was introduced quite well via their lead vocalist Erika Olsen through the the Mortemia collaboration of Lost Horizon, an incredibly dynamic work if you've not humored that, and I would recommend Mortemia as well, just generally as an artist. His projects are quite exquisite, especially on the collaborative front. But Lost Horizon provided such a welcome entrance for me to be introduced to METALITE again via Erika Olsen, who has such a killer vocal set, such power and ferocity in her voice, and an incredible range. And as I said, that's been my general philosophy when it concerns collaborations, right? To start with that introductory encounter and expand further. And I've done that generally for the European rock and metal scenes. Many of you know how much I love that aspect of the world, especially just diving into music in general. It's such a first love in my life, as many of you know, and it's been a long-standing aspiration to focus on it more as a central presence here on the channel, and just to spotlight good art, where I find universally there's just such a satisfaction in the European regard. I can't get enough of it. And METALITE is a never welcome addition to that. I've loved everything I've humored with you. Incredibly strong repeat listens. I've, at this point, considered all three of their previous albums, some of the singles that have come alongside. I've loved the journey I've taken with METALITE. And it's only been 5 months or so that I've become quite a fan of theirs. And I think if you've not humored this group before, you will too. So get ready with Disciples of the Stars. I keep wanting to refer to it as sun for some reason. I mean, they're both, like celestial objects, so it kind of works in either direction. But new METALITE, I've been waiting for something. Here we go. This is the 9th track, I think, in the album listing. I'm pretty sure on that. I'm going to go ahead and cue up the song. And if you're not familiar with my coverage, perhaps that's an introduction for you as well. I do try and accommodate listener taste to the best extent that I can, so lyrics are provided directly in the video feed. If you'd like to read along with the narrative of the piece, those will be available for you in just a moment when the song commences, and they'll proceed along with the song and match in time as we navigate through it together. All right. Let's return to METALITE. I'm so excited about the prospect. The minute I saw this announcement, I'm like, I'm here for it today. Let's start the journey down the fourth album. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I love that pop bend. Real swing to this one, too. And it's got that natural ferocity. And I liked this aged synth use. There's a couple pieces I've been listening to lately with synth integration that do date the piece back quite pleasurably for me in rock and music history. This one has that effect. Like 70s to 90s in feeling. I love when she does the background echoes. Again, Erica Olsen just has such a natural inflection. There we go. This work in particular has a great momentum to it. And those climbs, man. The lightness in that last word really works for me. And for her voice to be the transitional linger, great tool. Nice riff too on that last line. Works. Quite dark. Subtle. Good fit. I can't get enough of those climbs every time I hear it. I really like this synth application. And the variation too, again, on the inflection points, great choices. Diversifies the feeling a bit. Doesn't keep the song in a static position. I love that evolution. Strong rapidity. Interesting key navigation. Oh, I think we're making a return though. I was curious, is this a key change? Is it not? I think it's going to the latter respect. Maybe? Well, no, it is. Okay. But I play with key changes a lot, so it could go either way. The emphasis on that O works. There's a strength to it that's incredibly alluring. Real fun pop flair to that one. That's such an easygoing work. It's in a nice middle space between subtle, well, there's an even balance for me on that work between, I love its placement, at least in genre, feel, and aggression. It's a bit lighter, but yet it has the momentum again on the metal backing and the support. Strong instrumental integration. I love the riff pacing. That's familiar. This is very familiar to METALITE in format. Even on this album, in consideration of the last two singles, you think of the structuring and compare, and that end bit with the key change, that is trademark METALITE. They do that a lot. Not always, but it is a mainstay element for them that you oftentimes find as a central characteristic to their pieces. Hurricane and Take My Hand both included that same type of mold. So that's really interesting. I'm curious to see how many key changes we might see appear on the album, because so far that is quite consistent, but it has that familiar lighter twinge in the electronic style that makes METALITE just such a unique presence in the way that I favor them. And the way that it comes to me, at least in the song, like I said, real retro swing. I love the rhythm, but the feeling that I experience in this being, again, like I said on the synth application, that it's sort of an aged piece in style, going back into like a 70s to 90s style. And I'm general, at least in the time frame, so that, you know, if I'm mixing up dates, I can accurately pinpoint at least it's somewhere in that range. You just get that classic feeling again within the rock scene. The lightness and the delicacy of this piece just is instantly appealing. There's a frailty, even amidst the rougher side and the momentum, especially with, well, the instrumental use, for sure. And the percussion work, namely the guitar support, has a thorough navigation. A fun upward tail as well, like I said, that's very reminiscent to the narrative as showcased within Take My Hand. Definitely fits with the scene that they're seeming to imply with Expedition 1, in a space voyage of sorts, and with Erica Olsen to carry you through. If you've never humored her before, you can see why, again, she was the path to me being introduced to METALITE and why I've fallen into deep reverence with them. I just love hearing her voice. It is of isolated regard for me, right? And there's so many talented vocalists. I don't want to in any way lessen the regard of others unintentionally. In venturing in the European scene as deeply as I have, there are so many vocalists or female vocalists that have taken my breath away, right? But they're all unique in their own signature types of articulation and styles. There's just some sort of uniqueness that I try and attribute to each one. And Erica Olsen, the power in her voice, and you can hear it definitely in certain sections. I love how the song has a nice diversity in how the vocal inflections play about, right? Especially on the choruses. There is a bit of a change up. So you see that evolution and those constant climbs and descents demonstrated with such aptitude and strength. Ever since Mortimia, again, that's where I was first introduced, and I've never forgotten about that first experience. That's what sent me down the METALITE path, and I don't regret it in any way. I credit Mortimia often because he is, in fact, based on the collaborative model that's persistent among the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions and the COVID Aftermath sessions, his two main works where this has taken effect. That's, as I've called it, the Mortimia model, right, with the collaborations respect. Have him be the established artist and use him as an educational experience of sorts to discover new artists. Erica Olsen was one of such standing several months ago, and as of January, I've been a fan of METALITE. I took the deep dive down, and I've loved everything I've heard. This is very familiar to METALITE style, as I said, in many respects, on song character, musical structuring, pop and electronic side energy. Works really well. I love the dated feel, though, again, like I said, on establishment of tone. That retro swing really works. Good pattern. Good key choices as well, but again, mixed with Erica Olsen's vocal application. And especially how it's utilized in that, and they've done this before as well, if ever works too, going from the chorus, first iteration of it, to the second verse, using her, the yeah line. Letting that be the lingering word that serves as a transitional link. Great choice. It's just so much fun to hear her sing. You know, again, I think of her uniqueness in the metal scene, and you see this namely with the visualizers, the power that she exudes in her voice. Just, it really impresses me. It demonstrates passion, and you hear that when she sings, whether it be in her range or just the volume. It definitely fits again with the metal regard, for sure. It's beautifully placed. She's just such a delight to humor on talent. But it's so cool to return to METALITE. Again, I've loved the journey I've taken with you 13 tracks in consideration publicly and enjoying the experience of you, with music, again, in this capacity, for me, serving as a reverential fellowship act. I love that music can have that ability where maybe our other artistic languages do not necessarily offer that, or maybe they do, but not to the potency that music does, because generally it's just an art form that's always satisfied me. And METALITE sits as well in that regard, you know? And in part, they've also helped, I would say, give life to a favoritism I'm now experiencing where I was not necessarily a pop fan I've never really been, at least especially in respect to, let's say, the American mainstream, a certain exception. I don't tend to fall into, a path of, I love popular music and what's kind of got that pop vibe and energy. But ever since I ventured into the European scene, especially on Swedish regard, and seeing the experimentation on integrating electronic emphasis, and even that's been kind of a, case-by-case basis of judgment for me. But in understanding how pop and electronic aspects, again, in respect to METALITE, I could broaden out the reach of what I'm speaking to, but I'm choosing to narrow it a bit, at least for what I'm saying right now. Seeing how they're integrated to the music basis, especially with the strong metal backing. Europe has given me a new love for that, and it's broadened out my respect. METALITE being one of the talents for sure that's done that, specifically. I mean, their music is just generally fun to humor. I love the stories they tell. They're fun pieces to be entertained with and charmed by. And I'm sure as we go through Expedition 1, explore it in greater depth as more tracks start to trickle out and the album nears its release date, we're going to see that, made more dominant over time. But at least in respect to the singles, trademark METALITE, I love the experience of humoring them with you. And I'd be curious to hear again if that's reciprocated. And from whatever angle you approach, right? Longtime METALITE fan, I know there are some of you that fit that descriptor, or fresh introductions. Again, I do hope there's a bit of a didiversity in who's approaching this video. But perhaps with METALITE, this will be your first entrance and they'll become a longtime favorite as they have with me. Over 5 months, yes, I can build out. But I've loved every step of the journey. I hope you have too. I hope you loved Disciples of the Stars. Let me not mix up Sun again. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down below if you do wish to disclose your opinion. It's a great piece. I'm so excited for the new album. The minute I heard about it, I'm like, yes, I gotta hear more from METALITE. Can't wait. I'm looking forward to the day we get to humor more together. 3 tracks in so far, and with this new edition, it's solid. Loving the evolution of it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.